Previously, we did rundowns of Marvel Phases 1 and 2. Now it's time for Phase 3. Like the other two, we will cover each movie but only hit the real main points of each and give an overview of what you might need to know. Featured in this video are Captain America Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, SpiderMan Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, and Black Panther. As of posting this video, no other movies in Phase 3 are out yet, so that's as far as we can go from here. So, I'm John from Observemedia.
I'm MD from Observemedia.
And this is a rundown of Marvel Phase 3. First up, Captain America Civil War. In 1991, Bucky Barnes, currently brainwashed, is sent to intercept an automobile carrying a case of super soldier serum. In present day, Captain America, Black Widow, Falcon, and Scarlet Witch stop former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Brock Rumlow, aka Crossbones, from stealing a weapon. After facing off with Cap, Crossbones blows himself up. Scarlet Witch throws him upward to spare the civilians on the ground, but ends up destroying part of the building, killing a number of Wakandan humanitarian workers inside. General Ross, remember him, is now U.S. Secretary of State. He tells the Avengers that the UN is going to pass a law known as the Sokovia Accords. The law will require the Avengers to be controlled by a panel put together by the UN. Tony Stark is in favor of the law, noting himself creating Ultron and basically causing the Sokovia incident in Avengers 2. But Steve Rogers doesn't have faith in the government, most likely due to it basically being corrupted by Hydra up until a year or two ago, and would rather act on his own judgment. A man named Helmut Zemo finds Bucky's old Hydra handler and kills him. He finds a book containing 10 words in Russian. The words had been used during Bucky's brainwashing to activate him for a mission. In Vienna, during a conference about the Accords, King T'Chaka, King of Wakanda, is killed by a bomb. Security footage of the event seems to show the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, setting off the bomb. T'Chaka's son T'Challa vows to kill Barnes. Steve Rogers decides to track down Bucky and bring him in himself before the authorities or T'Challa can kill him. He and Sam Wilson, the Falcon, track down Bucky and try and stop T'Challa, now dressed as the Black Panther, and other authorities from getting to him. Rogers, Wilson, T'Challa, and Barnes all end up being apprehended. Zemo sneaks into the place Bucky is being held, disguised as a psychiatrist. He uses the words from the book to activate the Winter Soldier and sends him on a rampage. Cap stops him and manages to get him out of there. Bucky tells him that Zemo was the Vienna bomber and has asked him where the Hydra base that contained the other Winter Soldiers in cryosleep was. Rather than wait for the UN to approve it, Cap and Falcon go rogue. They recruit Scarlet Witch, who has a budding romance with Vision, Hawkeye, and Scott Lang, the Ant-Man, to help them. After getting permission from Ross and the UN, Iron Man puts together a team of Black Widow, Black Panther, War Machine, Vision, and a street-level hero he hears of in Queens, Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man. The team goes after Cap's team. They confront them at an airport, where they fight. Eventually, Black Widow lets Cap and Bucky escape. The rest of the team is captured and locked up in a prison known as the Raft. James Rhodes, War Machine, is paralyzed after accidentally being hit by Vision. Black Widow also manages to escape. Tony Stark finds out Zemo framed Barnes and questions the prisoners on the raft as to where Cap is headed. He finally convinces Falcon to tell him. Stark heads off on his own to find them. He creates a truce between Cap and Bucky. Going inside the facility, they find out that the other Winter Soldiers are dead. Zemo reveals to Stark that Barnes was responsible for killing his parents in 1991, showing them a video of the incident. Stark finds out that Rogers knew about it and didn't tell him, knowing that Barnes had been brainwashed at the time. He turns on Cap and Bucky. The three of them fight before Cap disables Stark's armor and escapes.
That shield doesn't belong to you. You don't deserve it. My father made that shield.
Zemo attempts to commit suicide, seeing breaking up the Avengers as revenge for his family's death in Sokovia. Unknown to him or the heroes, T'Challa had followed them, and prevents Zemo from killing himself. He apprehends him instead. Later we see that Stark has created robotic leg braces for Rhodes that allow him to walk again. Meanwhile, Cap breaks the others out of the Raft prison, leaving a message for Stark.
Tony, I'm glad you're back at the compound. I don't like the idea of you rattling around a mansion by yourself. We all need family. The Avengers are yours, maybe more so than mine. I've been on my own since I was 18. I never really fit in anywhere, even in the army. My faith's in people, I guess. individuals. And I'm happy to say that for the most part, they haven't let me down. Which is why I can't let them down either. Locks can be replaced, but maybe they shouldn't. I know I hurt you, Tony. I guess I thought by not telling you about your parents, I was sparing you, but I can see now that I was really sparing myself. And I'm sorry. Hopefully one day you can understand. I wish we agreed on the accords. I really do. I know you're doing what you believe in, and that's all any of us can do. That's all any of us should.
Priority call from Secretary Ross. There's been a breach at the Raft prison.
Yeah, put him through.
Tony, we have a problem.
Please hold.
No, don't.
So no matter what, I promise you, if you need us, if you need me, I'll be there.
After the credits, we see Barnes and Caps are in Wakanda, where T'Challa allows Bucky to live while he remains in cryosleep, until they can figure out a cure for the brainwashing. Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange introduced Stephen Strange, an arrogant and famous neurosurgeon. After he gets into a car accident which severely injures his hands, he realizes that with his current nerve damage he can't do any kind of operating anymore. His ex, Christine Palmer, tries to help him move past it, but Strange finds out that despite there seeming to be no way to fix him, there is hope. A man named Jonathan Pangborn used to be a paraplegic, but was somehow cured and given the ability to walk again. Strange finds him, and despite Pangborn's anger at him for denying him when he was paralyzed due to him being incurable, he gives him the location of a place that helped him. In Kamar-Taj, Strange runs into a man named Mordo, who takes him to see a sorcerer known as the Ancient One. After a short conversation with Strange, she shows him her power, revealing the astral plane to him, as well as many other dimensions. Mordo convinces her to train him, even though she claims his arrogance reminds her of Caecilius, a former student who ended up stealing a few pages from an ancient text and leaving. Strange begins to study under the Ancient One and Mordo. He meets the library's guard, Wong, who warns him about stealing the books. Strange learns that Earth is protected from enemies in other dimensions via a shield generated from 3 buildings called sanctums. They're in New York, London, and Hong Kong. All 3 buildings are accessible from Kamar-Taj. The Ancient One sorcerers are trained to protect the sanctums and keep their dimensions safe. Strange quickly improves as a sorcerer and eventually learns a technique to turn back time on certain objects. He uses it to restore the pages Caecilius stole, and learns that he can fully bend time with an object known as the Eye of Agamotto. Mordo and Wong stop him and warn him about breaking the laws of nature, telling him that he could end up stuck in an eternal time loop or worse. Caecilius uses the stolen pages to contact a dark being known as Dormammu. Dormammu exists in a dark dimension where time is non-existent. Caecilius and his men attack and destroy the London Sanctum. His men then attack the New York Sanctum, killing its master. Strange fights them with the help of the Cloak of Levitation, which comes to his aid. Mordo and the Ancient One arrive to help Strange fight Caecilius. Caecilius tells him that the Ancient One has been drawing power from the Dark Dimension in order to stay alive. Mordo doesn't want to believe it at first, but after seeing the Dark Dimension symbol on her forehead, he realizes it's true. Caecilius mortally wounds the Ancient One and escapes. In a moment frozen in time before her death, the Ancient One tells Strange that he basically has to balance out Mordo's steadfast rule-obeying nature by bending the rules himself, and that together they can defeat Caecilius. She tells him he needs to accept that everything isn't about him. She dies moments later. Strange and Mordo go to the Sanctum in Hong Kong to find the building destroyed and Wong dead. The Dark Dimension is beginning to engulf the Earth, destroying the city around them. Doctor Strange uses the Eye of Agamotto to reverse time and save Wong. After fighting in the reversed rebuilding city, Strange is told now that the seal is broken, they can't stop the Dark Dimension from taking over. Strange decides to enter the Dark Dimension and uses the Eye to create a time loop around himself and Dormammu. He arrives, saying,
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
He tells Dormammu that he is willing to continue dying forever in order to keep him from killing everyone on Earth, and that Dormammu is basically his prisoner as long as he keeps the time loop in place.
Pain's an old friend.
Dormammu! I come to bargain! Dormammu! Dormammu! Dormammu!
Place. Eventually, Dormammu gives in and accepts Strange's bargain to leave Earth alone, and take Kaecilius and his zealots with him, in exchange for Strange breaking the loop. After arriving back on Earth, Strange finds a confused and uncertain Mordo, disillusioned by Strange and the Ancient One defying nature's laws to win the battle. Strange accepts the position as Master of the New York Sanctum. He returns the eye before being told that it is actually an Infinity Stone. He continues to study the magic arts. After the credits, Doctor Strange is seen meeting with Thor about finding Odin, and in a second scene, Mordo is seen confronting Pangborn. He steals back the energy that was given to him, reducing him back to a paralyzed man. He tells Pangborn that he has realized the world's problem.
Too many sorcerers.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 opens with the Guardians, Star-Lord, aka Peter Quill, Gamora, Drax, Rocket, and Baby Groot, being hired to protect batteries from a giant monster. Aisha, leader of the Sovereign race, hands Gamora's sister Nebula over to them as payment for protecting the batteries. As they are leaving, they are attacked by the Sovereign race due to Rocket stealing the batteries for himself. Something destroys the attacking drones. They land on a planet and meet a man named Ego, who claims he is Star-Lord's father. He takes them back to his home planet. Besides Rocket and Groot, who stay behind to repair the ship, Nebula is left with them. Aisha hires Yondu to capture the Guardians. They manage to apprehend Rocket, but Nebula escapes and convinces Yondu's men, led by his lieutenant, Taserface, to revolt against Yondu. They lock up Rocket and Yondu on Yondu's ship. Nebula leaves to track down her sister Gamora. Groot helps them escape and destroy the ship. Taserface manages to get word of their escape to the Sovereign before he dies. It is revealed that Ego's home planet is Ego himself, and that he can create and manipulate matter. He tells Peter that he took a humanoid form when he traveled to Earth, where he fell in love with Peter's mother. After his mother died, he hired Yondu to take Peter, but Yondu never delivered him to Ego. He begins training Peter to use the same kind of manipulation powers he has. Nebula tries to kill Gamora, but they stop fighting when they begin to learn the truth about Ego. Ego's servant, with powers to read people's emotions, Mantis, also warns Drax about Ego's plan. Ego continues to tell Peter that he has planted seeds on every world he has visited, to terraform them into himself, but that he would need another Celestial like him to activate them. He had impregnated women on every planet he visited and hired Yondu to collect them all, but he killed them when they couldn't access the power he and Peter can. They begin working together to activate the seeds, but Peter breaks free from Ego's control when Ego tells him that he killed his mom due to his feelings for her being a distraction to him.
Reason for my very existence would be over, so I did what I had to do. But it broke my heart to put that tumor in her head.
What?
No, all right. I know that sounds bad.
Yondu, Groot, and Rocket arrive on Ego's planet and meet with Gamora, Nebula, Drax, and Mantis. The team find Ego's brain, and Groot plants a bomb on it, made from the batteries Rocket stole from the Sovereign. Star-Lord fights Ego as the rest of the Guardians escape. The bomb explodes and kills Ego, and Yondu sacrifices himself to save Peter. Peter learns that Yondu had never delivered him to Ego in order to stop him from killing him as a child. Yondu says,
"He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy."
Nebula leaves the team in order to kill Thanos, and the Guardians hold a funeral for Yondu. After the credits, it is shown that Groot has grown into a teenager, and the leader of the Sovereign has created a being called Adam.
Well, thanks there, buddy old chum. So we're going to be moving on to Spider-Man Homecoming. After the events in the first Avengers, Adrian Toomes and his workers are cleaning up the city when their job is taken over by the Department of Damage Control, put together by Tony Stark. Man, Tony's always the problem. He has his men steal some of the Chitauri tech they've scavenged so far. In current day, Peter Parker, following the events of Civil War, has not heard back from the Avengers. He starts spending more time focusing on being Spider-Man and quits his school academic team. In his time as Spider-Man, he begins seeing more of the advanced weapons Toomes has been creating. Peter's best friend Ned finds out that Peter is Spider-Man. Later on, Parker breaks up a weapons transaction between Toomes and a man named Aaron Davis. Toomes dons his Vulture gear and throws Spider-Man into a lake, but not before he can plant a tracking device on one of Toomes' men, Herman Schultz. Peter is saved by an Iron Man drone. Tony warns Peter about dealing with these criminals himself. Later, Toomes kills one of his men by accident. His other worker, Herman Schultz, begins using that man's weapon and calls himself the Shocker. Peter and Ned check out the power core and a weapon Peter took from Toomes and his men. The tracker he planted on Schultz says he is in Maryland. Peter rejoins the academic team due to them going to a tournament in Washington, D.C. Ned helps Peter hack the suit Tony Stark gave him and disable the tracker, along with unlocking features he wasn't supposed to get until later on. Spider-Man tries to stop Toomes from stealing weapons from a damage control truck, but ends up getting trapped inside it. He misses the academic decathlon, but finds out that the core he and Ned took out of the weapon is going to explode. He manages to make his way back to Washington, where Ned has the core, and saves Ned and the other members of the academic team. Spider-Man uses one of Toomes' customers, Aaron Davis, to find out where he is. He interrupts a sales transaction between Toomes and Mac Gargan on the Staten Island ferry. During the fight, a broken weapon cuts the ferry in half. Iron Man shows up and helps Peter save the ferry and everyone on it. He yells at Peter for hacking the suit and takes it away.
But I'm nothing without this suit.
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it.
Peter goes back to his normal life and asks the girl he likes, Liz Allen, to the homecoming dance. When he goes back to pick her up for the dance, he finds out that Toomes is her father. Toomes figures out that Peter is Spider-Man and threatens him not to intervene with his plans anymore. Peter finds out that Toomes is planning to hijack a plane transporting things from Avengers Tower to the team's new headquarters. He uses his pre-Civil War suit and goes to stop Toomes. Toomes and Shocker fight Spider-Man, ending with Toomes destroying the support beams for the building and dropping it on Peter. Peter escapes the rubble and gets to the plane. Before it crashes on the beach, he fights Toomes and wins, saving Toomes from his own malfunctioning suit. He then just leaves him for the police. Later at school, Peter finds out that Liz is moving away. Then after that, Stark takes Peter to a ceremony to invite him to join the Avengers. Peter declines and Stark gives him his suit back. As Peter is putting his Spider-Man suit on at his home, his Aunt May walks in and sees him. In the after-credit scene, Mac Gargan asks Toomes who Spider-Man is, hearing that he found out, but Toomes denies it. Alright, we're making our way on to Thor Ragnarok now. Now, Thor Ragnarok opens up with Thor searching for the Infinity Stones. He is currently in Muspelheim, imprisoned by a fire demon called Surtur. As Thor fights him, Surtur tells him that Odin isn't on Asgard and that an event called Ragnarok is coming, which will destroy Asgard. Thor defeats Surtur and returns to Asgard. He finds Loki posing as Odin, watching a play starring Asgard's Matt Damon. Thor gets Loki to help him find Odin, leading them to Earth where they enlist the help of Doctor Strange. He tells them that Odin is in Norway. When they catch up to him, he tells them that he is dying and his death will release Hela, his firstborn child. Hela was once the leader of Odin's army, but after she helped him conquer the 9 realms, Odin imprisoned her, fearing she had become too ambitious. He had her written out of history. Hela arrives after Odin passes away. She crushes Mjolnir, Thor and Loki try to run, but as they leave through the Bifrost Bridge, they are hurled into different parts of the galaxy. Hela goes to Asgard and kills the Warriors 3. She resurrects her old army to fight for her and has Scourge, the guard of the Bifrost Bridge, as her executioner. The previous guard, Heimdall, steals the sword so Hela cannot use the bridge. Thor ends up on Sakaar, a planet surrounded by wormholes that led trash and garbage crash to the planet's surface. He is captured by a slave trader known as Scrapper 142, who takes him down with an obedience disc and takes him to the ruler of Sakaar, a man known as the Grand Master. Thor finds Loki associating with people around the Grand Master's home. Thor realizes that Scrapper 142 was a Valkyrie on Asgard, and the Valkyries were female warriors who fought against Hela when she first led Odin's armies. Grandmaster uses Thor as a gladiator for entertainment. Before his fight, Thor meets two other aliens who have been captured, Korg and Meek. Grandmaster assigns Thor to face Sakaar's champion, who turns out to be the Hulk.
Know each other! He's a friend from work!
Hulk attacks Thor, but Thor realizes with Odin dead, he now has access to the Odin Force and starts to get the upper hand. Grandmaster electrocutes him to make sure his champion wins. Thor tries to get Hulk and Scrapper 142 to help him escape and fight against Hela. Hulk refuses until Thor leads him back to the Quinjet he left in after Age of Ultron, and a message from Black Widow causes him to transform back into Bruce Banner for the first time in 2 years. Grandmaster has Loki and 142 go after Thor and Hulk. Loki turns on 142 and makes her see the deaths of the other Valkyries years ago. She captures Loki and takes him to Thor to prove she is willing to join him. Not wanting to be left on Sakaar, Loki helps them steal a ship. They free the other gladiators who were captured, including Korg and Meek. They stage a revolution against Grandmaster. Loki betrays the team to try to gain Grandmaster's favor, but Thor, finally accepting that Loki is always going to turn on him, is ready for it and takes him down. The team uses a wormhole to get to Asgard, where Hela has taken over and is tracking down Heimdall and the remaining citizens he has managed to save. Banner turns into the Hulk and fights Hela's wolf, while Thor and Scavenger 142 fight Hela's army. Loki, along with the escaped gladiators, arrive on Asgard to help fight the army. Scourge, who had been hesitantly fighting for Hela, helps the Asgardians escape by sacrificing himself. Thor fights Hela and ends up losing his eye. He sees a vision of Odin and realizes that the only way to stop Hela is by starting Ragnarok, the destruction of Asgard. Loki manages to resurrect Surtur, and then who begins to destroy Asgard, starting Ragnarok. He also kills Hela. Thor and the team, along with the Asgardians, escape in the ship. Thor decides to take them to Earth, and after the credits scene, their ship comes across another very large spaceship. Alright, now we're making our way to Black Panther. Okay, so Black Panther explains that centuries ago, these 5 African tribes found a meteorite that was made of a substance later called vibranium. One man eats a plant that has been mutated by the metal, and it gave him enhanced speed, strength, and reflexes. He becomes the first in a line of warriors known as the Black Panther. He unites 4 of the 5 tribes. The 5th tribe, known as the Jabari tribe, does not join him and instead ascends into the mountains. The other tribes from the nation, now known as Wakanda, they use the vibranium from the meteor to create and develop advanced technology and architecture, but isolate themselves from the world, knowing the world would want to invade them and take the vibranium. They hide Wakanda and pose it as a third world country. In 1992, we find N'Jobu, an undercover agent from Wakanda living in California. He is visited by his brother, Wakanda's king, T'Chaka, who accuses him of helping an arms dealer known as Ulysses Claw to steal vibranium. N'Jobu's partner claims he has been helping him, revealing himself to be another undercover Wakandan known as Zori. It is at this moment that N'Jobu is murdered then by T'Chaka when he tries to attack Zori. We return to present day. Following T'Chaka's death in Civil War, his son T'Challa, the Black Panther, returns to Wakanda as the new king with the help of Oki. God, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. The leader of the Dora Milaje Regent. T'Challa finds his ex-lover, Nakia, and asks her to attend his coronation ceremony. At the ceremony, M'Baku, the Jabari tribe's leader, challenges T'Challa for the crown in ritual combat. My God. T'Challa beats M'Baku but doesn't kill him, instead letting him yield. In London, a man named Eric Stevens helps Ulysses Klaue steal a Wakandan artifact. W'Kabi, T'Challa's friend, tells him that he needs to bring Klaue back to answer to their law. T'Challa, along with Oki and Nakia, travel to Busan, South Korea, where Klaue is setting up a meeting with the CIA to sell the Wakandan artifact. CIA agent Everett Ross meets with T'Challa at the meeting point before it breaks down into a firefight. Klaue is captured by Black Panther, but he releases him into the CIA's custody. Klaue tells Agent Ross that Wakanda's third world reputation is just a front. As Ross is interviewing him, Eric attacks the building and takes Klaue. Ross protects Nakia, but is nearly killed doing so. It is revealed that Eric has some connection to Wakanda. Black Panther and Nakia take Ross back to Wakanda, knowing only their advanced technology can save him. T'Challa's sister Shuri heals Ross. T'Challa talks to Zori about his uncle, N'Jobu. Zori tells him what happened. T'Chaka had told him to lie about the incident and say that N'Jobu had disappeared. They left his half-Wakandan son, Eric, behind. Eric later became a Black Ops soldier codenamed Killmonger. Elsewhere, Eric kills Klaue and takes his body to Wakanda as an act of goodwill towards them. Eric reveals that he is N'Jobu's son and possible heir to the throne, to the tribe elders. He challenges T'Challa to ritual combat. Before the fight, T'Challa must have the vibranium giving him his powers extracted. Eric kills Zuri and defeats T'Challa. He throws him over a waterfall, then goes through the procedure to become the new Black Panther and King of Wakanda. He instructs them to destroy all of the vibranium herbs that have been used to give people the powers of the Black Panther, but Nakia saves one. Eric, going by Killmonger, gets W'Kabi on his side to lead the Wakandan army and prepared to distribute vibranium weapons to operatives all over the world who will enact N'Jobu's original plan of arming people of African descent so that they can take over and rule. Nakia, Shura, and Agent Ross and T'Challa's mother, Ramonda, escape to the mountains. M'Baku reveals that they have the comatose body of T'Challa. They use the herb Nakia took to heal him and give him his powers back. T'Challa returns and fights Killmonger. W'Kabi and his armies fight against Okoye and her regiment along with Shuri and Nakia. Ross remotely pilots a jet which he uses to stop the planes from carrying the weapons out of Wakanda. Eventually, Okoye, I'm pronouncing that differently every single time, convinces W'Kabi to have his army stand down, and T'Challa continues to fight Killmonger long enough for him to stab Killmonger. Killmonger refuses treatment, choosing to die free rather than be locked up. T'Challa decides to start an outreach center at the building where N'Jobu died. After the credits, T'Challa appears before the UN to reveal the truth about Wakanda in order to help the world, and back in Wakanda, Shuri helps Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, with his recuperation. Well, there you go, guys. That is the end of all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe breakdowns. We got Phase 1, we got Phase 2, we split up Phase 3, we got all this done. We are going into Avengers Infinity War, literally 10 plus years of building, 18 movies. This is gonna be huge, guys, and I just wanted to thank everyone who's gonna be watching this video and anyone who's watched this video before. It's been really tough being in YouTube and stuff like that, and I don't want to speak for everyone. I just want to let you know that unfortunately we're going to be taking a break moving forward. This doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be stopped making content, but right now our lives are getting a little bit more complicated and we have to prioritize, and unfortunately we just don't have time to continue to create the content that we're trying to provide to you and keep the quality at the level that it is. So I'm sorry that we have to leave you for a little bit, but hopefully we return bigger, better, and just more passionate than ever. Thank you so much for your support, and we will see you guys next time.